Alright, so I'm finally getting around to reviewing Centipede. If you're wondering what took me so long, despite this being a poll winner, yeah, I just got kind of consumed by Accu. You have no idea how many things I haven't done because of Accu, and I'm glad I've beaten it now. But, that being said, Centipede. This level was very hyped up. People have been talking about this level for a long time, and the wait for this level has been very, very excited. A lot of people have been clamoring to see this level release, and now that it has, people are definitely underwhelmed, I think. Not by the level's quality. A lot of people are happy with the level. I think they're just underwhelmed because the level hasn't gotten rated, and the lack of rate has unfortunately killed a lot of discussion with this level. What I'm about to say might upset a few people, and just know that I'm not blaming the level creator when I say this. I'm gonna explain what I mean, so just hear me out. I almost feel like this level's lack of rate is somewhat self-inflicted. What I mean by that is not that the creator did something wrong or did something bad along the way that would lead to the level not getting rated. More so, I feel like this level fell into a very unfortunate circumstance where, if you don't know, this level added camera controls and shaders specifically with the purpose of it getting rated. And I'll be talking about how I feel about those camera controls and shaders in a second, but I feel like by adding those only for the purpose of getting rated, and let's be real, adding those didn't boost or lower the level's quality in any way, it just kind of made it feel the same but forced. I feel like that almost might be the reason it didn't get a rate, but I have no idea. Despite all that, and despite the fact that I do have problems with this level that we're going to get into here, I do think this level should get a rate. I think it's fine, I think it's really good, and while, yeah, it's not the hallucination quality, I also think that might be a little bit too high of a bar to expect on creators. This level is genuinely really good, and it also is really popular within the community, and I see it being on a similar level of quality to something like I Spy with My Little Eye, where, you know, it may not be the biggest, most high-profile level with millions and millions of objects and super fleshed out, polished glow, but what it does manage to do is be unique and manage to stand out. There is not another Circles level like Centipede. Centipede is very unique. I also feel like a lot of people got their expectations up a little too high with Centipede. There are some people that don't like it, and their main complaint is mainly that it's just not as good looking as they expected. And what I think happened is Centipede started to be teased around the same time as another Circles level called Down Bass Incarnate, which, sorry Centipede, Down Bass Incarnate looks significantly better. And the problem with having a better looking level that also happens to be a Green Circles level premiering at the same time as your Green Circles level is a lot of people are going to compare them, and I feel like people were expecting Centipede to be the same quality as Down Bass Incarnate, which really unfair considering how massive of a collab DBI is, but I just feel like there was sort of a disappointment to people because they were expecting something that was never going to happen to begin with. That being said, what do I think about the level itself and ignoring the circumstances around it? I think Centipede started as a really solid, pretty okay, 5 out of 10 baseline. It was a pretty okay level, but as the creator started to take in more and more criticisms and advice, it quickly started to pop and become a very amazing, high-quality level. There's a lot of details in here that are just very subtle, but add so much to the level. Like in the pre-drop, the first cube, the part that most people don't even pay attention to, I like that it uses these blocks here to add a sort of glassy effect. Stuff like this is very overlooked in levels. Originally, this part here used to just be a series of blue pads and nothing more, but when the creator heard a lot of people like myself and just many other people in the GD community suggest that this just be art of a giant centipede and you kind of go through the centipede, the creator did it, and I genuinely think it works really well. And after adding that, they added little centipedes in other spots in the levels, and it really makes this level almost feel like going through a jungle filled with centipedes, which works really well considering the song. I'd also just like to point out that originally Centipede was a top 1 and it achieved this by having really stupid stuff like fixed hitbox straight fly and just unnecessarily difficult stuff, and that's where I mainly want to bring up the fact that this level, it is some of the best playtesting I've ever seen. The creators here made absolute sure that the level would be as fun as possible, and I think nerfing this level to, what is it, around top 30 difficulty, top 20? I know it's been compared to the hallucination a lot, so we'll just go off that. Being nerfed to around the hallucination difficulty, in my opinion, did this level a ton of favors, because the difficulty was, in its original state, very, very forced, and I'm glad that they took great care to make sure this level is fun. My favorite thing about this level, though, is probably the circles effect. It uses the invisible or the fading blocks, whatever you want to call them. I call them the invisible blocks. It uses the invisible blocks almost to supplement glow and create this really interesting pulsing effect where some parts of the block design are brighter than others, and it kind of reminds me of the invisible light effect, but done with a lot more tact and care. And that's saying something, because invisible light was already a pretty polished level. It looks really solid here, and I genuinely think that the invisible blocks add a lot, and that you would actually probably take a hit to the quality if you removed them. That's mainly what I like about Centipede. It's just got all these small little things that are seemingly pointless, but add so much when you really look into how they're used. And because of that, I genuinely really, really like this level. I think it looks amazing. I think my only complaint about Centipede is that I prefer the 2.1 version. No, seriously. The 2.1 version of Centipede looked very interesting in my opinion, and it had a detail that the 2.2 version removes, and that's quite simply the level's darker. Like, the whole thing. And what I liked about that is it almost gave you the idea that you were in a jungle and there were trees sort of blocking off the sun. At least that's how I interpreted it, but even if you don't have that sort of interpretation in your head, it's just all better in general idea to have the level be darker because it has this sort of jungle theme, and I genuinely think that the level being sort of brightened up in the final product here ended up kind of hurting it a bit. And on that note, this is where we have to talk about the shaders and camera controls. So don't get me wrong, I know that you can disable the actual camera rotation with the little trigger at the beginning, and side note, I don't know how creators are doing this, but they're making it so if you collect the thing at the beginning of the level once, every subsequent attempt, it'll always be collected, and to uncollect it, you have to back out of the level. As far as I know, saving only works on platformers, so how does this work? Honestly, this is really sick. I don't understand how they're able to do it, but it's cool. But anyway, that's beside the point. I genuinely think that the camera controls in this level are very sloppy, and well, I know you can specifically disable the camera rotation, which, thank God, just honestly, thank God. This level, with the rotating camera controls, looks so ugly, specifically because half the time it looks like a boat just bobbing back and forth in a river. It looks so bad. This is what Geometry Dash looks like when you play it on your phone in the car. Being able to disable those, though, the level still has a lot of problems. It still does abuse camera controls, even if you ignore the rotation. I don't like how the level will just kind of arbitrarily zoom on the icon, because it limits the scope of what you can see and makes the level harder in a way that I personally don't like. And I don't even mean harder in raw difficulty, I just mean it's hard to figure out. It's hard to even do a single practice run like this. It is irritatingly difficult to see. Like, this made something as trivial as botting the level annoying. Speaking of which, what is this pulsing shader effect that is used throughout the level? It's so distracting, and sometimes it happens during tight wave clicks. This is what I was talking about earlier when I said that all of the stuff added in the 2.2 version of the level makes the level worse, in my opinion. The shaders, the camera controls, all that kind of stuff, it's just very out of place and very forced, and it makes me very much prefer the 2.1 version of the level. However, that being said, the quality lost here is not really that much, and the level is still of high quality, and with all that being said, I give Centipede an 8 out of 10. I do, however, want to mention that this is Xander and Team Noctis's first finished level, and for you to get an 8 out of 10 from me on your first level is very high praise, and I definitely can't wait to see what you put out in the future, because this level was genuinely very surprising on all fronts, and despite what I had to say about the 2.2 changes, even its 2.2 version I think is very solid. That being said, you like, subscribe, all the usual YouTuber interaction reminder things, and comment down below. Tell me what do you think of the level. Do you like it? Do you hate it? What score would you give it? I'm genuinely interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comments. And with that being said, thank you for watching.